Hi, you guys. How is everybody this morning? Got more people coming in here.
Morning.
Good morning. Right. So probably everybody's here is pretty familiar with Zoom, right?
No.
No? Okay. Okay. All right. Well, the first thing is you want to keep yourselves muted unless you want to speak or say something or ask a question. And that's because there's a lot of us usually in the meetings, and there's sometimes the background noise and everything. But otherwise, I mean, basically you all got here. So I think you guys who are here are probably good to go. But if anything pops up, or if you have any questions at all about this, then you just ask. I think are you in the meeting too?
I'm getting there.
Oh, okay. He's going to help if there are questions in the chat. But anyway, so I just wanted to just start this off and introduce myself. I don't know if any of you don't know me at all, and you're just took a chance on this class. And if you did, I really appreciate it. Ditch the Drugstore is actually a proven course, and it works if you do the work. and basically, and we all know we all have busy lives, and some of us can dig right in, and some of us might have to take a step back. Uh-oh. So anyway, so what I was going to say is I don't want you to get worried at all if you feel like you're getting behind or anything like that, because you're not. There is no behind in this course. Okay, so please don't do that to yourselves. It's herbalism. I want you to just understand herbalism and aromatherapy. It's a massive topic area, and you're going to find yourself going down rabbit holes and learning more as you get into this, which is so exciting. But as far as your home apothecary goes, and going through the books and choosing your recipes and actually starting, go ahead. You just got to dive right in and do it. So I just want to encourage you just to get those tinctures going, get your infused oils going, do your planning first, of course, and all that. But anyway, I'm going to go ahead. I think, I don't know if we're going to have more people hop on here, but I just want to say I'm Heidi Villegas, and I'm in the student group, and I am available to you. You can private chat me if you don't feel comfortable asking a question. But with that said, I really love it when people ask questions in the student group area, because your questions help other people too. And I guarantee you, if you have a question, there's somebody else who has the same question or a similar question, and they are wondering the same thing. So these questions are very, very helpful. And that's where the chats are wonderful too, because what ends up happening, and this happens in every single meeting that we have, is somebody will ask a question, and then other people think of things, and then they ask questions, and it just makes for a very, very rich discussion. So I just wanted to say that. And let's see. Oh, if you're going to chat, let me just talk about the chat really fast. So down at the bottom, it says to, and if you put everyone in the meeting, then everybody can see your comment, or you can click that arrow and just chat with me or whoever. So there you go. So that's how the chat works. And let's see. Tracy says, I haven't been able to find the course workbooks. That's okay, Tracy, because we're going to actually walk through everything. All right. I'm going to show you exactly how to do this and get around. And the other thing is that since you guys are all here, you're in the student group already. So that's good. The student group is filled with support. And if you have any questions like that, like even how to find a workbook or how to get around or how do I get back to the school, there are so many helpful people in there besides myself too. You will get some help. So it's just a really great place.
I'm sorry, she needs permission to join.
Oh, well, I can't do that right now,
Oh,
but
okay. All right.
I would. Okay, I can do it in a minute.
Well, I don't know about it.
Okay. So, and I also want to tell you too, that if you happen to miss one of these meetings, it's okay too, because I record these and then you have replays, and I put the replays in the course materials and also into the student group. So you have access to them in two different ways. So I've really tried to make this as very accessible to everybody as possible. And one last thing before I dive in and just get into how to get around in here and answer more questions is there are no dumb questions. Okay, there just aren't. Some of us are brand new beginners to herbalism and to making plant medicine, and others and if you are, go ahead and say that in the chat. It's, it's good. It's good for us to know who's brand new. And then other people here have actually been in my courses and things for quite a while. So, we have a range of experience in here. And the nice thing about getting your apothecary up and going is that for most of us, we start with our plan and we get our basics in, and then you're excited about learning more about the plant medicine and the herbs, and your apothecary grows, and it just keeps on growing and growing and growing. And the thing is that there is so much to learn about the plants, and it's just, once you start using your preparations and realizing that, oh my goodness, these work, I guarantee you are going to want to learn more and more about the plants. But some people in here have actually been through the drugstore rounds with me 2 or 3 different times, and that's perfect. I mean, you as a student here, you can go through these as many times as you want to. So when I open up the next one after this, if you feel like you had to drop off somewhere, or maybe you just want to do it again, then you just go through it again with us. They're always open for you. In fact, I have one of my students who's just amazing, has done some wonderful things with her health. She wrote to me and she says, can I go through it again? I'm like, yes, of course. And because she says she learns something new every time she goes through it. So it's definitely a growth experience. All right, so let's see. You guys all know why I'm passionate about herbalism. I'm not going to go deeply into that. You've probably heard me go on my little rants and everything like that about what they've done for me in my life, and others who I've been so blessed to help, and who have decided to take charge of their own wellness and health and just want a better way, or a different way. I shouldn't say a better way. I got a letter from a lady the other day, and she told me that her husband had to be on prescription medications, and she said that my words kind of made her feel bad because he has to be on prescription medications. And I felt terrible because that's not the message I want to send necessarily. Sometimes we have to be on prescriptions, and sometimes we have to go to the doctor, and there's nothing wrong with that. We are very, very blessed and fortunate to have access to modern medical care. But the fact of the matter is that much of what we go to the doctor for, we can manage ourselves at home. And that's what I want to teach people to do, because when you're able to do that, you have so many more choices to decide between, and you're not just chained to, one way of doing things. And it's very, very empowering. So anyhow, yeah, Kelly says she's excited to go through the course again. Yay, that's good. Oh, good. Also need to be able to help my husband with his gut issues. Yes. Oh my goodness. When you stop putting toxins in your body, which includes medications, especially over-the-counter medications or harsh medications with many side effects. You're giving your body a chance to heal itself. And our bodies do heal themselves if they're allowed to. That's what we're made to do. Okay, so guys, let's go ahead and are there any quick questions or oh, Jessica says, I started herbalism with Heidi almost a year ago, and it's amazing what I've learned. Yeah, Jessica's learned a lot, and she's very helpful. She's always in the group too, helping people. And Suzanne says, I've been self-taught for a year. This is my first organized class, and I'm so excited to possibly put some more understanding to what I've already learned. Awesome. Yeah, Suzanne, I think this course is going to help a lot and just kind of tie things together, because I know when I started, it was years of just trying to learn in books and do things myself. And once I took that first course, and I didn't even have anybody to ask questions of, but it really did help. And then I took more courses and more courses. And so now I'm teaching them and I love it. And Susan says, I've been dabbling, but still basically new. Yeah, good. You're in the right place. I've been bumping through for years, looking forward to having a plan. I'm not all that organized. Yeah, having a plan is really helpful when you dive into herbalism because, you know, it's massive. I mean, I'm telling you, the rabbit holes and the squirrels and the all of the little side traps, they're very real and they're valuable. But if you really want to get things done, stick with that plan. Yeah, Karen says, while teaching computers, I always said the same thing. There are no dumb questions, only questions that have not been asked. That is so true. So please don't be shy and just ask. All right. If you need to know anything. All righty, guys. So let's go ahead and I'm going to share my screen here. Oh, and you know what? Before we start, I think I had a couple of questions pop up in the event thread here. Let's see. Oh, maybe I'm in the wrong spot. Okay, I'll go back to that if I have time. But if you have questions and you're here, just pop them into the chat and I will ask them. All righty, so share screen. So the first thing we're going to take a look at is the two different places where you're going to be able to access information. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and come over here. Whoops, I got to move. There we go. So the first place I want to focus on is the course materials. So when you log into the school, basically you should see all of the courses that you're enrolled in. And you did get some courses as bonuses as part of Ditch the Drugstore. So you'll see those as well. And then you can pick which ones you want to go into. Okay, so that's one way to do it. Once you're inside Ditch the Drugstore, if you go to that one, if you scroll all the way down through all of the materials here, you'll also see down here other courses that I've included with it. Okay, so just a quick suggestion is, as far as making herbal medicine goes, and that's the herbal preparations, like making your tinctures and your salves and your infused oils, or if it's aromatic, making roller bottles and things like that. This herbal medicine making basics is where you might want to start if you're brand new, because it's going to give you an idea of how to make the main herbal preparations. And I don't have the aromatics in here. I'm actually working on an aromatics medicine making basics course too, and I'll be adding that to this. That's for essential oils. But the essential oil preparations are actually, I think, a little bit easier than the herbal ones. So, and then if you scroll back up here, into the main course area of Ditch the Drugstore, okay? And by the way, this is the welcome and orientation from last March that we did. It's just like this one. So I'm going to probably replace that one with this one. So people who are brand new can come back through and see it. But that's where you can always come back here and watch again if you forget, like how to get through to the courses and the different lessons, and then into the student group. Okay. And then you've got just the main area has just your foundational stuff that you need to know. Some legal things, what I feel about the lie of the pill mentality versus true healing. And please, this is only 2 minutes long. I want you to kind of go through that one and think about it, because I want you to think about where we always turn and what we always think of when we start getting sick. And what is it? It's take that pill. And, instead of, okay, what's going on with my body and how can I help my body to heal? So do you see the difference as opposed to take a pill, cover the symptom, just so you can feel better for a second, versus what can I do with a plant or an essential oil where I'm going to start feeling better, but I'm also going to help. Okay, you're going to help your body. So totally different. It's two totally different views of your wellness. Okay, and that's what herbalism, most herbalists anyway, come at herbalism that way. So this next section is herbs and essential oils, laying the foundation. And I go into just things you really need to know about the herbs if you're brand new. If you've been working with herbs, you may not want to go through all of these, but they're all pretty short. I've tried to keep them short and just to the point for you, okay? You'll find in our chats, I kind of tend to get on my rants and I and I kind of overshare and I give you lots of extra information, but the course materials are very succinct. Okay, and I've tried to answer almost all of your questions that I could think of in here. So as you go through it, you're going to get a lot of questions answered. I do talk a lot about dosing and safety for herbs, and also dilution and safety for essential oils. Safety, and some people, I should say, think that there's two like attitudes about herbalism. There's the attitude of, oh, it's natural, so it's safe. And then there's the attitude of, okay, that herb is weird and all herbs are not safe. And there's like this happy medium where we have many herbs that are extremely safe, and it's very hard to hurt yourself with them. And then you do have some you need to be careful of, and it's just a matter of knowing which ones are which. With essential oils, same thing. Some essential oils actually are pretty safe to use directly on the skin, but most are not, and most can actually cause sensitivity. And I would even say including lavender, which is very safe. So just knowing how to use the herbs and oils is like the bottom line thing, and it's not hard. And I'm here to help you with that, with any questions. So if you're nervous about it, anything at all, please just ask, okay? And then here you've got the essential oil safety and reference guide. Somebody was asking about the workbooks. So they're kind of sprinkled throughout here. This is one I really want you to print out if you're going to use the essential oils in the course, and you do have a choice. I have had people write to me, I only want to use essential oils. Is that okay? Or other people write, I only want to use herbs. Is that okay? And I'm just going to tell you that either or is fine. But as a person who's trained in both, it's really powerful when you use them together, okay? So I was listening to one of my aromatherapy teachers, actually just this morning, I was listening to a talk she was giving, and she just is not familiar with herbs very much at all. And an herb came up, and she wasn't familiar with this herb and couldn't answer the question. And there's nothing wrong with that. Her training is purely in essential oils, over 30 years, a long history with essential oils, but she didn't have that background with the herbs. And I've seen the opposite happen with herbalists. They're able to answer questions about using the plants directly, but when it comes to an essential oil extract, they might actually even give harmful information. And it's just a matter of of knowing enough to be able to meld the two. And I'm going to teach you guys that here. So even if you're a very, very beginner, you're going to get a good foundation of aromatherapy and herbalism. So it's pretty exciting. I've never come across a class like this. And when I put it together, I was thinking, well, should I include essential oils? Should I put them together? But I believe strongly in using them together. Okay. They work really well together. Okay. So next step is to get your plan put together. You guys, that's where that workbook comes up. And this is where you can print that out. Let me see if I can find it over here. I have a stack of all the books that are included in this course, and there are a lot of them. And that's the one I can't find. It's the family pharmacy plan. Okay. So in that workbook, when you print it out, it's really clear. You just go through the steps, step by step by step, and you're going to consider each of your family members, who are all going to be different. And then you're just going to kind of make a little brainstorm list of everything you think they might need, each one of them. And then you're going to dive into the common ailments like pain relievers or cold and flu remedies or things to do with digestion. So you're going to go ahead and just write down the things that you think you want to have in that apothecary right now. And so one thing I say to people who are very, very beginning, who aren't familiar with the herbs, is you're not going to probably have an understanding of what you can make. So what I want you to do is put those things down that you want to have in there, even if you don't know anything about the herbs at all yet, or even if it's possible. Okay, just write it down. And then what I want you to do is I want you to go through and prioritize the first things you want to start making. And here's a little pro tip. Okay. The course is between 6 and 8 weeks long. I'm happy to add additional weeks at the end if you guys feel like you need them. I've had one class cadre who was really appreciative of that. And then the last one, because I had a lot of repeat students, was like, no, we don't need this. So it's going to be based on what you guys tell me. Okay. But anyway, what I was going to say is that making a tincture or an infused oil takes 4 to 6 weeks. So once you get your pharmacy plan, your home apothecary plan laid out, or at least outlined, then I want you to go ahead and start on your tinctures and your infused oils first, because that way, by the end of the class, this session, you'll have ready-made preparations that you can actually work with. If you're working with infused oils, you'll be able to start getting those herbal salves and your butters and your balms going, maybe even some lotions. If it's tinctures, they'll be ready to bottle up, and you'll be done with this first 6 weeks with your tinctures and whatever you need ready to go. Or maybe it's an herbal tea blend. Now, herbal tea blends are super fast. All you need to do is wait for your materials to come. Or if you have a garden, dry them, harvest and dry your herbs, and I can help with that too. And then you can blend your teas. Once your teas are blended, you're ready to go. So, sorry, I guess I probably should have brought some water in here. But all righty, so in this section here, this is also where you can find your herbal remedy home reference guide. Then you've got your cold and flu care book, your herbal salves, oils, butters, and balms, your herbal first aid book, the kitchen spices book, and then the Ditch the Drugstore book is here in its own separate section, and it's quite large. So you guys, if you're printing all these out, which you can, Joe always recommends, because this is all of the printed material here. It's about this much. There's a lot of resources in this course. So what you can do is download the materials and take them to a print shop, and they'll print them for you. Okay. And that way, and they'll bind them and everything. That's if you want to. You certainly don't have to do that. And then Joe has, my husband, he's got the Ditch the Drugstore book and the Healing Herbs of the Bible book available for purchase if you want the physical book, so you don't have to get it. And he's got them listed at our price. We're trying to find less expensive printers, but they're just all really expensive, and that's with shipping and stuff too. Oh, thank you. All right, so there's that part. And then the course goes into the different ailments. So you've got your pain relieving section. Now the course doesn't have as much as the book. The book has a lot more recipes than the actual course has. When I just was deciding which videos to include in the course, because really, if I did a video for every single one of these, there would be hundreds of videos. Okay, so it would just be like overkill. So what I did was I created these videos based on two things: the usefulness of the remedy for most people, and I wanted to be able to teach you the herbal medicine making lessons through the course too. So you really don't have to go to the herbal medicine making basics course if you don't want to. You're going to get everything inside of Ditch the Drugstore too. All right, so you're going to make salves, tinctures, massage oils, roller blends, all kinds of different things. You're going to make herbal teas, you're going to make syrups, you're going to make electuaries, you're going to learn how to create herbal steams for your respiratory health. Okay, there's a stress and sleep section. You're going to learn how to make relaxing sprays for your pillows and your linens, or herbal teas. And then in the book, there's even more. There's more roller bottles and things like that. The first aid section, same thing. So this is a pretty complete apothecary course. And then you've got the books again as bonuses. Now, right here, if I'm still scrolling down, these chats are pretty priceless for you. I've had people in the online business world tell me that I'm crazy for including these. But honestly, I just feel like if you're going to show up to take an herbal course, I want to give you all of the resources that you might need at your fingertips. So with these chats, these are replays of so far all of them since the very first round of Ditch the Drugstore. And if you click on one, well, let's just see, this is from last July. So what you'll see here inside of this is the link to the replay. It'll be in orange, and what we discussed during that chat. So you can actually go through some of these if you want. And some people never touch them. Other people actually kind of use them as while they'll listen while they're driving, or they'll listen while they're cleaning the house, or they just like to watch them. But you'll find a little list of the things that we talked about. Okay, so there you go for that. We'll go back. But you have, look how many there are. there's a lot of them. So lots and lots. And then for this round, as we go through the live chats that we're going to do together each week, we'll do the same thing. So these will be added to the course materials, and they'll also be added into the student group. And that's where we're headed next here. All right. So are there any questions about getting around in the school, or finding your way, or?
You show the shortcut on the Mighty Networks to the course.
Oh, I'll do that when I get over to the student group. Yeah, we have a couple shortcuts between the two. Let's see, I'm just looking to see if there's any questions. Yeah, Jen made a good comment here to Bernadette. Keep in mind that many blends that are used in tinctures can be used in the tea blends as tea blends too. And that's something that's really good to know. If you put together an herbal blend of dried herbs, you can actually save some aside if you plan to use it for your wellness, while the rest of it's tincturing if you want to make a tincture of it. So you can actually start getting the benefits right away through tea form, which is pretty cool. Alrighty, so let's see here. I'm going back now, and you'll see over here complete and continue. That just helps you keep track of of your progress. All right. And there you go. There's a link when you first get into the school, I believe, that will take you to the student group. It's up at the top, but I'm not seeing it on mine, but it should be there. But let's go ahead and go over to the student group now. So inside the student group, and you've got a direct link from inside the course materials that will take you there. So if you get lost, you can actually look at that welcome section. You should be able to find the link there. So let me move this. And let me move this. All right, so here we are. We're inside the student group, and we've got our chats up because we're in it. I'm going to go ahead and, I don't know if Joe, do you know if I close this, will it go away? Oh, never mind. Okay, we're good. Can you guys can still hear me? We're awesome. Yes. Okay. When you first get into the student group, this is what you're likely to see. Okay. If you're on a laptop or a desktop. This is actually the main community, and you can get familiar with the colors. I've got each section with a different color, but this is the Healing Harvest Natural Living community. And this is our big main group. I think there's like, I don't know how many people are in there now, right around 4,000, I think, but this is just free for everybody. So a lot of people are in here and they're not in courses. So it's just kind of a general place for chatting. This is the home area, and this is my feed, okay, in the regular thing. Virginia asked this question this morning, and a lot of people have already answered it. You can see previous comments. So in this regard, it's kind of like Facebook, except that it's not like Facebook. It's nice. All right, then we've got the discovery section, and this is where I'll just put general things up for people. This is very important. When you get around to it, please watch, if you need to watch. I'm going to show you all this right now, but here's the welcome. This tells you how to get around in the group. So if you forget, and it does, for me, because I'm not a tech person, it took me about 2 or 3 days to just figure out, okay, where am I at in here? And it might be the same way for you. Other people pick it up a lot faster than me. So this health disclaimer is very important to read too, because here I talk about how to talk about herbal, I want to say treatments, but herbal remedies in terms of our wellness. Now, you probably might be noticing I'm talking a lot about wellness. I use that word support a lot, and that's because in herbalism, it's actually illegal to practice herbalism in terms of it being a medical practice. The government does not recognize herbalism in any way, shape, or form as any kind of alternative, legitimate alternative health measure. In fact, they just want to get rid of us all. And so therefore, most herbalists who are trained, and if they're responsible and they're teaching, they explain how we're supposed to talk about the herbs, which seems kind of shady. It's like shady language, but truly we always have to have our minds geared toward health and wellness, and not healing sickness. Okay, so there's like a little fine line. So just read through that. If you have questions, just ask. The rules for the community, these apply everywhere, including the student groups. So please read through those. And they just kind of set the foundation for the culture of the community. And it is way, way nicer than Facebook in here. Let's see. And then if you want to see members, you can see all the members here, or you can search for them. You can find people who live near you. And then topic areas. And again, this is just an extra thing for you, but you don't need to worry about any of these if you don't want to. There are several, like these are like your private groups on Facebook, but you can follow them or not follow them. So here you can see I am following herbs and essential oils. So I am likely to see those posts. Gardening, homesteading and self-reliance, healthy cooking and preserving. If you are a Christian and you want to have some extra Christian support, we do have a faith and fellowship section. If you're not, you can just unfollow it, okay? latest articles and videos. I'm really bad about putting things in here, but Joe tries to. And then online courses and memberships. This is for when I put out something new. All right, so now let's go ahead and dive into the student group. So here's our main navigation area. Here's where we're at now with topics and events. This is where you can click on that. And if you're enrolled in a school, then you will, and you're in the student group, then you'll see those events from this page too. But the best thing to do is to click here where it says student groups. And this is going to take you to all three of the available student groups. Okay. So we've got the people who are enrolled in the tribe are in this group. People who are in Ditch the Drugstore are in this one. And this is for students who are in the 21-day joy experience, which is a really positive group. And so here we are, we're Ditch the Drugstore. We're going to click there. And now look, I'm inside the student group and look what color the bar turned up here. It's teal. So it's different. So if you see that color teal, then you know you're inside the student group. All right. And you can see it looks really similar to the main big community. I should mention really fast, I forgot to mention this in the main part, but it applies here. You've got private chat areas up here. So the little bubbles, that's where you can private chat people. You can start a chat, you can continue a chat, but nobody can see these, okay? And then over here where the bell is, these are notifications. So if I click on these, then these are people who are just in general, they're posting a comment or they're asking a question. And if you're following those topic areas, you will probably be notified. Okay. So,
want to explain how to tag you and that.
oh, yeah, Joe's right. Okay, so if here's where you would write a post right here. Okay, so let's just say I want to ask a question. And I want to tag Joe in it. Where do I go? And I'm going to tag Joe. I'll use the little @ symbol, and then that's going to bring up names. Joe is probably the most common person tagged in here. He's in the community a lot. And then you just click and his name will turn teal, and then you can post it. If you're in the student group, and a topic applies, you can apply it. If not, you can post it without a topic. And then I always just put don't notify. You don't want to notify everybody of everything. And then Joe will see this. It'll come up in his notifications, and then he can answer the question. And also, if anybody else sees it and knows the answer, they'll answer it too. And people are super, super good about that in here. And I'm going to delete that post because there you go. All right, so that's your activity feed. And if you scroll down here, you can see different posts. People are sharing their apothecaries. And this is where we just message each other, ask questions, answer questions, and people will answer them. All right, the discovery section in here is pretty much the same as in the main group, only it's for us, okay? Sometimes Joe will put things in here. Same with members. You can look at the members if you want to, and same with the topics. Now, this is where the events tab, if you click on this, this is where you'll see the events just for Ditch the Drugstore, all right? And you can, like you did today, click into them, and you can bring up the Zoom link, and also you can see the thread. If I click on this, you can see the thread down here. So if you want to ask a question, then you can actually ask it in here, and this is where I get the questions for the chats. Okay, so if you know you can't be there, but you're planning on listening to the replay, go ahead and ask your question here, or you can just ask it in the student group. All right, and then Bernadette says, I wondered if there is a tea recipe book that's part of the course. So there's a lot of tea recipes, Bernadette. They're kind of scattered throughout all the books. And you know what? I should compile them. I should compile them into an herbal tea book. One thing I want to mention though with this question, I'm going to stop sharing my screen. Oh, actually, before I stop sharing my screen, I want to address that question. But if you go, let's see here. If you go down, if you go back to the network, so if you want to get out of the student group, and go back to the network. And then if you want to, so now we're in the main category. You can see how the color changed right here. Scroll down here to where it says courses. Okay. So this is how you can get over to, oh, whoop, that's not it. Joe, how do you get to the,
It says take or find a course.
oh, I'm so sorry, you guys. It's take or find a course. So here is where, if you're over here and you want to get back to your course materials for Ditch the Drugstore over on the school platform, you can just say take or find a course. This is going to put you right back to Healing Harvest Homestead, the homepage. Oh, and then by the way, right here, this little area up at the top, this is what I was looking for before. This is what's going to get you back over to the student group or into the community. And then you can get into the student group from there too. So I've got them connected.
You have to have the same email.
Yes, Joe's has made a good point here. You have to have the same email for both or it's not going to connect, okay? So I am going to stop sharing my screen and here we go. All right, see if there's any questions. Oh, and one thing I wanted to say about the Ditch the Drugstore book, you guys, is there's a full index in here. Oops, I've got the old one. If you buy the new edition, it's got the index in it. And the new edition is the only one you can buy. The one that you can download is also the new edition with the index. I'm not lucky enough to have one with the index. No. No, the index is really great though. You can look up specific herbs that you want to work with, and there'll be it'll tell you all the pages that they're on, or you can look up common ailments that you know, like what do you do for congestion? And you'll have a little list of the recipes that apply to that too. So it's a pretty good little book. And actually Jessica, who's here right now, she put that together for us. It took her a really long time. So was very nice of her. All right. So guys, are there any questions or comments or anything I might have missed? I think I got everything. I have a list of things to talk with you about, and I think I hit them all. Yeah, Tam says, I'm super excited to get started. I know it is exciting. I hope you're all excited. It is so fun. And even if you're like going through this for a second or a third time, it's really neat to finally start getting that apothecary going. It's wonderful. And Bernadette says, such as yarrow. Oh, that would be great. Bernadette asks, how do we find out about certain herbs and cautions of such? All right, so I ought to put a little mini materia medica in here at some point. I think I'll do that. But Bernadette, the best way is just to ask in the group. The nice thing about Ditch the Drugstore and that student group is there actually are a lot of Confident Herbalist Tribe members who have studied the plants for a long time, who are actually in Ditch the Drugstore too. And that's where, you know, there's a lot of knowledge about the plants in here. The other thing is that this is the power of the student group as well. We have people living all over the world and all over the United States. And so let's just say you're down in Florida and you have a plant that's growing down there that, you know, you need to ask a question of. But I'm up here in Idaho. And I've been doing herbalism for a long time, but there are plants I'm not familiar with. And that's going to be the same with all of us or anybody, no matter how long you've been studying. But there are people who are going to be familiar with it. One other thing I want to mention is the importance of Latin names in your plants. When you start working with the plants as medicine, you need to start just familiarizing yourself with the botanical names, because they have everything to do with the correct plant that you're using. A question that came up on the webinar, one of the webinars I did this last week was, well, what about sage? I have my essential oil here for sage, but you know, are they all interchangeable? All the sages? And the answer is a huge no. They're not. So there are over 200 species of sage, or salvia is the genus name of it. And yet the specific species are going to have different medicinal actions, and some can even be dangerous. So this is where you'll, and I don't want you to be worried about this. You'll grow in this. All of the plants that are used in Ditch the Drugstore, for the most part, are going to be very safe for most people. But you do need to, if you're on medications, be sure to do a quick search. One of the places you can find some information very quickly and easily is WebMD, which generally speaking, I'm not a fan of the medical sites, which is only what Google now gives us. However, they're a really good place to get yourself started. Okay, so like WebMD has tabs in there for the different herbs and even drugs, where they'll talk about side effects, they'll talk about interactions, and who should and shouldn't use them. So it's very, very conservative. Just know that the medical community wants us to be afraid to use herbs. So just kind of keep that in the back of your mind and look at it take it with a grain of salt, but also do some further research if you find it you fit into one of the categories where maybe you shouldn't use yarrow for this or that or the other. But yarrow actually is very safe. It's very, very few contraindications. So since we were talking about yarrow, let's see here. Oh, good. Joe's answering questions about the book. Oh, Nancy says, I'm so grateful for my high school Latin classes. It does make botanical names easier. Yeah. I wrote an article about that on my website and I think I'll try to find that paper and put the Latin name. I have a PDF for it, and it just kind of helps. But all of the names mean something. And that's where, if you're talking about, I don't know, let's see. I'm making this one up. Solidago arvansis. That means of the field, arvansis. And then Solidago is going to tell you that it's a goldenrod. So yeah, it's really interesting. Tracy says, I'm a former ICU RN. Oh, awesome. Herbs and natural medicine horrify the Western medical practitioners. They do. The essential oils especially are snake oil, and they're not. It's the reason they work is all about the chemicals in the plants. It's all about the phytochemistry, and it's real. It's amazing when you just dive into it. There's nothing mystical about it. There's nothing, woo woo about it. It's because of the chemicals. And also, you guys, if you've been around me at all, you're going to hear me say this over and over again, but God put these plants on earth for our health and wellness and our food, and he made them all perfectly for us. He didn't mean to have a chemical extracted from a plant and messed with in a lab, only to be given back to us and cause horrible side effects. The plants used in their whole form they work because they're perfect already. So anyhow, I could go on I won't go on my little tangent with that. But anyway, and I hope that doesn't bother anybody that I speak my mind about that. But, it's not Gaia, Mother Earth, or goddess stuff that causes the plants to heal. No, they're put here by our creator perfectly. So anyway, yeah, I feel very strongly about that. Anyway, that's who I am. All right. So guys, do you have any other questions or comments or, yeah, that I'm balanced. I don't know how balanced I am. I'm really an herb geek. In fact, I was walking through the house this morning, and I have house plants everywhere too. I do believe they clean the air, and I love them. I just love plants. And I was looking at one of my plants, and I just thought, poor Joe, he married a real Looney Tune. But like most people have different kinds of passions, no, I'm always telling them about the plants. And anyhow, yeah, Bernadette says, I talk to all my babies. Me too. But all right, you guys. Oh, let's see. Donna wanted to know about brown versus blue bottles. Thank you, Jessica. All right, so you're going to find choices with your bottles. I don't think I have a blue bottle here. I do have a clear one. I think I have it over on my desk, but so you're going to find choices in your bottles. You can get clear ones. This has little crystal stones in it. You can find amber glass bottles. It'll be on my desk there, honey, right? In my little mess of, it'll be a roller bottle. Thank you. But you can get them in different colors. All right. They've got green. This is a blue one. I don't know if you can see that that's blue. And you can get purple ones even. You can get really beautiful bottles now. But my favorite ones to use are the amber glass ones. And the reason is that if you're storing your herbal preparations and your aromatic preparations in a room with a lot of light, then the UV rays can actually affect and degrade the preparation over time. It does take a lot of time. So the amber glass ones are the ones that I like the best. I think that I just have a feeling they work the best. I actually have looked for information on this, and what I have found is that there aren't very many studies on the blue or the purple, but there are for the brown. And I might be wrong on that now because that was a really long time ago when I looked that up. But I've always just gone for the brown ones. Clear ones obviously are going to be more for fun. If you want to do something pretty or put little flowers in there or something like that for a gift. But if you want to keep your especially your essential oil preparations good for longer, then yes, you want to go with the amber glass bottles. Now, while we're talking storage, so here I've got some St. John's wort oil in a mason jar. Obviously, it's clear. It's very important to store these in a dark cupboard. Okay, it's okay to while they're processing. If you want to set them in a window where they might get a little bit of warmth, that warm heat helps the plant release its constituents a little faster. But once it's done processing, once you're ready to bottle it up, you want to be sure to store everything in a dark cupboard. Okay. All right. Are there any other questions? Let's see. My husband had been so skeptical about this choice of going herbal for our family's health, but he has also been so supportive at the same time. That's wonderful. He is always willing to take me foraging when I ask. However, since I have been switching things out for herbs in our daily routine, and he did tell me the other day, he does see the difference. Hallelujah. I have heard that so many times. It's like once you start, just sneaking the herbs in, or not over explaining it, but just using them. It is like people are just amazed. I've had that same thing happen with so many students where they'll share, yeah, my husband was like against this. He was like, this is weird. But then all of a sudden they're all on board because their issues are being solved. One of our students, Sarah, she wrote this cute little blurb in the student group 2-3 months ago, but her husband was having terrible cramping in his legs. It was horrible. And so she had an essential oil preparation and some magnesium spray, and that she sprayed on him. And at first he was like, no, I don't want to use this. Get that away from me. Well, she finally talked him into trying it, and he didn't have cramps that night. And then the next night, he wouldn't use it again. And guess what? He woke up with cramps in his legs again. And he says, give me that stuff. So now he's to the point where he's on board with it too. But just simple things like this, when you find something so it's beautiful and natural and it works better than the over-the-counter stuff, and it's so safe and it's effective, and guys, best of all, it supports your body in the healing process. It's amazing. Oh, I did go over it, but I didn't show it. Yeah, sorry. You guys might have already seen this. This is that workbook I was looking for a minute ago. Joe had it over there. So it's not real long, but do this first. I've spoken with so many students, and the ones who take this part seriously, and yes, I know you want to just jump right into making the herbal preparations, but the ones who take this part seriously, if you really want that home apothecary ready to go and you really want a dialed in plan, they have better results because they have a plan. Okay. They're not just doing what I did, which was, woo, I'm making everything. If you want that home apothecary, you don't go about it like I went about it back in the day. Let's see. Donna says, Mandy had a question regarding ragweed allergy. Okay, so ragweed is pretty common. Let's see here. But generally speaking, if you are allergic to aster family flowers, I lost everybody here. Where is everybody? If you're allergic to the aster family flowers or ragweed, you might have some difficulty with other members of the aster family too. And so you need to, this is another place where those Latin names are important. The aster family is Asteraceae, and that would be like chamomile is in the aster family, dandelion is in the aster family, goldenrod is in the aster family. So these are some indications where you just need to proceed cautiously. So with that said, you definitely, if you know you're allergic to ragweed, definitely avoid it, but you might still be just fine with chamomile. And you'll know if you take a sip of tea, and one way you can test for allergic reactions is to make a strong tea and just rub a little bit on the inside of your wrist, wait 24 hours. If you have any kind of sensitivity or redness or anything, that's a sign that you shouldn't use the herb. And that's what most people will do. But and I don't know if I even answered a question because I just started talking about ragweed and asters, but let me go back up here. I can see if I can find it. Oh yeah, Linda made a good point here. Yeah, let me caution you on this one. It's difficult to change people's minds on using natural healing. I'm laughing because that is such a true statement. And this happens to new herbalists all the time. What will happen is you're going to get all excited about your herbal remedies and your herbal preparations, and you're just going to want to share it with everybody, And the fact of the matter is, and this is a very, very unfortunate truth, is some people are just not going to be open-minded to it, no matter what you do. So this is where I always say, well, you do you, boo. And you let them do them. And eventually something will come about where their minds will be changed eventually. I do believe this because, again, I've seen this over and over. The older we get in our lives, and the more trapped we become in taking the over-the-counter and pharmaceutical drugs, dealing with more drugs for the side effects and then more drugs for the side effects. Most of us will wake up and go, okay, there's something wrong here. And I've seen that so many times, but some people won't. It's the way it is. Yeah, I was going to compare it to something else and I won't even go there, but it's like, you can't beat this into people. You just have to be living proof. Okay. If you're dealing with family members who are resistant, so if you have teenage kids, or kids who are maybe in college, who've been raised with the pill mentality all their lives, like my children were, because this, I was raising my kids back in the 80s. And so, that's a long time ago. And that's all we knew, even though I knew it wasn't good for them. But like my older kids now are on board. They're nearing 40 at this point. They understand. They've had some life experience. My youngest daughter is now in medical school, but luckily she came back home to live with us for about 9 months before she went off to medical school. And I had her doing the research on my herbal books for the tribe membership. So she got a chance to dig into the clinical studies, which is where her mind is. She's a biochemist. And And she's had her mind opened up there, but I couldn't talk her into it. I couldn't talk her into anything. It didn't matter what I said to her. But once she dug into the clinical studies and the science of it, she's like, okay. But yeah, it's pretty interesting. Oh, good. Mandy says her husband is learning with her. Awesome. I know. I feel very fortunate too, because yeah, when I met Joe, he didn't think I was a weirdo, and he dove right in. I'm just scrolling back up. Yeah, Jen says, Mandy, herbs are super helpful for environmental allergies. They are most likely mullein and marshmallow. That's M&M. We just kind of shorten it and call it M&M around here. Will be the first blend you make. Yeah, a lot of people just start off with the mullein marshmallow. The herbs are very inexpensive. You can even grow them, or mullein grows everywhere. It's a weed, but it's so useful. And you know, you make that mullein marshmallow tincture, and all of a sudden you're experiencing incredible relief with your congestion and, you know, allergy symptoms and stuffy sinuses. But and then people are sold. Oh, yeah, this is true too, Susan. This is so, yeah, I'm glad you brought this up. She says, since dabbling, I've had family members start to ask me advice. I really want this course so I don't tell them something wrong. Absolutely. My young adult children are not so interested, although my daughter is slowly coming around. Yeah, they may never come around. Hopefully they will. But I want to just talk about that. There's a saying in the herbal world that there are people out there, and these are the bloggers, the online, like the mommy bloggers who put their little remedies out there, and they're very, very dangerous. I get so upset because there's this period of time in your learning where you know just enough to be dangerous, okay? And you can steer people wrong. And I know way back when I started there, I think of some of the things I used to say to people, and I'm like, oh my goodness, you know, now that I know what I know now, I would never, you know, recommend that. So this is where just finding those sources for information that you trust, and then double checking everything you say. And I want to just point this out too. It's super, super important, whether you're working with yourself or whether it's a family member or a friend or whoever, if you are making remedies that you're meaning for other people or you, please always check into any contraindications for that plant. That means that you're looking into when it should not be used. All right, so I would say the two biggest categories of people you need to be super careful about are those on medications. If people are on medications, you must check for herb-drug interactions because they are real and they can be harmful, okay? So that's number one, especially like things like blood thinners. Blood thinners interact with a number of different herbs. So you just need to be careful and be aware of that. And then you can adjust your choices. The other category of people who I'm super, super careful about are pregnant women, and then secondarily nursing women. But pregnant women, especially in the first trimester, need to be very, very careful about what they put in their bodies. Even like a food herb like garlic. Garlic is wonderful, and it's wonderful for pretty much everybody. But if you eat too much, or if you, you know, are taking blood thinners on top of it, you can have some interactions with that. Licorice is another one. Licorice root's extremely safe. It's an adaptogen, but licorice root is contraindicated for people with high blood pressure because it can actually raise the blood pressure pretty significantly for some people. And I always say for some people, it's not for everybody. So this is where just kind of know, and I've put the contraindications into the book for the recipes, but really this is where ask, you know, these are those places where if you have any hesitations, and hopefully you do, ask about them in the student group, okay? Let's see here. Yeah, Joe just pointed out it's fun to when people come to the house, like our house, if they have a headache or something, like, Heidi, do you have any, Advil or aspirin? I'm like, no, you're not going to find that in my house. Sorry, but I do have willow bark tincture. Would you like to try some? And it's been very, very interesting over the years. Some people will say, sure, I'll have some because they have a bad enough headache, and then it works. And they're like, whoa. And I explain what it is, and they just can't believe it. I've also had other people say, no, that's okay. And those are your closed-minded people. So oh, Jessica made a good comment. I've kept cayenne salve in my desk for almost a year now, and just now are my coworkers showing interest. It does take time. Yeah, it does. When they see you using it over and over and over, and it's working, they do tend to come around. Yeah, and the mullein, Jessica's pointing out the mullein and marshmallow, it is so safe. You can take it as needed. It's just a really wonderful preparation. Is a syrup made from pine needles safe? Yes, it is. In fact, pine needle syrup is full of vitamin C. The only caution I would say there is be sure it's a true pine, because some evergreens that are mistaken for pine and aren't pines can be toxic, like yew trees are one of them. That's YEW. They're you need to be sure it's a true pine. If you're questioning whether, or if you're out foraging and you want to know if something is accurate, you need to be sure you've got an accurate, identification. And I like to double check it between 2 or 3 sources is what I do. But it's good to have a field guide for your area, because that's going to be helpful. And then on Facebook, this is one thing Facebook is kind of good at, the weird groups, I like to call them. There are some plant identification groups, and that's all they do. They don't give any kind of herbal advice at all. They're botanists in those groups, and they just help you identify the plants. And so I would find one of those. I'll see. I belong to a couple. One of them's really good. I'll see if I can't get those links in here, but. Let's see, Cindy said, I tried to get my sister to give me a list of her meds so I could formulate a salve for her sciatica, but she wouldn't. So I told her I couldn't make her anything and feel comfortable with her using it. Cindy, that is such good advice. And I'm really glad that you stuck to your guns on that. Seriously, it may be that she didn't want you to know what she's taking, because if her doctor put her on something dangerous like oxycodone or something like that, she may not want people to know. I've had that happen, and I'm only saying that from my own experience. That's what my doctor put me on many, many years ago, back in my late 30s. He put me on oxycodone and Xanax, and I couldn't take them. I was a zombie. And it was right around that point that's when I started searching. And and it's been quite a journey since then, a good 20+ year journey. But I realized at that point, once I started diving into the anatomy and physiology, that there's a very strong connection between pain and stress. Because I always thought, why am I on Xanax? Isn't that like a thing for anxiety? But anxiety exacerbates pain, and pain exacerbates anxiety. So there's this cycle. And this is where, again, doctors are just covering the symptoms. That's all they're doing. That Xanax wasn't solving my problem. The oxycodone certainly wasn't solving my problem. All they were doing was making me more comfortable, but it wasn't healing my body. So this is where, it's, anyway, could keep going on. Kelly says, good call, Cindy. I've had to tell a couple people that they can't have exactly what is helping me because they're on medications. Yeah, it's true. Yeah, Linda says, what is the M&M for? It stands for mullein and marshmallow. Here, I'll write that in the chat. It's a mullein is an herb. If you ever decide to...
I got it.
Oh, okay. To learn more about the plants, the tribe is the place to do that. But yeah, and marshmallow is actually a plant. It's where the original marshmallow candy came from. Okay, you guys, I think we pretty much, I think I got everything. If I didn't, let me know.
I put the link into the marshmallow.
Oh, okay. The pine trees, how to identify them. There's an article on my website. So if you go there, healingharvesthomestead.com and type in pine, that one actually is on my site. Otherwise, again, the tribe is really great for that. And those Facebook identification groups can help you. But generally speaking, I wish I had pine needles here. A true pine is going to have between 2 and 5 pine needles emerging from a little like socket thing. Okay, and it'll have a little paper husk around them, like it gathers them all together, I like to say. And that's one of the ways you can identify if you've got a true pine or not. Okay. All right. Oh, Susan says a good question here. I have common mallow growing all over my yard. How similar is it to marshmallow? Pretty similar. All of the mallows are demulcent and have like soothing, moisturizing properties, and common mallow is one of them. Hollyhock is another one. Hollyhock is probably of all of the mallows the most closely substitutable for marshmallow, leaf and root. Okay, so just some things there. All right, guys, I think this went a little longer than I thought it would. But do you all feel pretty comfortable about getting around in the group and getting around in the course materials and getting started? All right. All right. And you guys, as always, don't hesitate to ask questions. Please don't be frustrated, and not think you can't ask. It's just ask and ask and ask. Okay. It's okay. All right. I'm so glad you're all here. I'm excited for this round of new students and old students, and it's going to be fun. All right. Bye, you guys.